Whatever.
It's on you.
Oh, okay, don't kick the tripod, same. Whatever. So good morning, my name is Burton Kelso, lifelong resident of Kansas City. Kind of give you a little background on myself and how I made my journey to television, and then we'll get started with our presentation. So I own a small tech company called Integral, and we do all that stuff that Geek Squad does. So we do on-site repair and remote repair for homes and businesses, and been in business for about 29 years, so 30 years will be us. And as small business owners or individuals who are maybe influencers, you always want to make sure that you have something that makes you stand out ahead of the game. And for me, media exposure was the best way to make my company stand out from the competition. Because in the IT industry, IT people don't do a good job of promoting themselves. They're just geeks and they just don't really know how to talk to people and know how to interact with people. So it's a great fit, and there's a great need out there for IT individuals when it comes to media appearances. But before we go on, you ladies want to learn a cool tech tip?
Yes.
I suck at clickers. All right, so does everyone realize that LinkedIn has QR codes? Raise your hand or just say yes. Let's interact, say yes. Yes, there's like 3 people. Oh, you realize that too? Yes? No? Oh, well, everyone's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize LinkedIn. Do you know how to get to it? Your QR code on LinkedIn? Oh, see, that's where the tech tip comes in. So who has LinkedIn on their smartphones and devices? Open up LinkedIn and I'll show you quickly how to get to your QR code. So when you're interacting this entire week with people at GEW, you can quickly connect with them and develop relationships. Because when you connect on LinkedIn and any social media platform, you're connected forever. And this is crucial to what I'm talking about as far as getting media appearances. I hope you're active on social media because it is key. So let me know when you're in the LinkedIn app. You're in. I'm in. Okay, all you need to do is go up to the upper portion of the LinkedIn app. Oh, hold on, we got someone trying to come in. Oh, how are you? Yes. I know it's a heavy door. So once you're in LinkedIn, go up to the top where it says search and click on search. When you click on search off to the right-hand side, there should be a QR code symbol that's on the right-hand side. Do you see it? Click on it, and it should open up and show you your LinkedIn QR code. And does everyone have it? Hold your phone up if you have it. All right, so that's one part of it. I need 2 guests. You 2 ladies, come on up. We're gonna role play. All right, your name?
Ruth.
Ruth. Okay, nice to meet you. You know who I am, and you are? Carlissa. I got it right. Okay, so the way that the QR code works is when you're in person mainly. So on your phone, Carlissa, you want to go to the section that says scan. So click on that. Not you, Ruth. Okay. Ruth, go back to your QR code. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the way it works is that when you meet someone face to face, one's going to be the scanner and one's going to be the one who gets scanned. So Carlissa, let's act like you don't know Ruth, which you don't. So you're like, here, I'll do the voices. Hey Carlissa, how are you doing? And then Carlissa says, Ruth, I'm doing good. Hey, are you on LinkedIn? And then Ruth says, why yes, I'm on LinkedIn. Let's connect. So then Carlissa, take your phone's camera and then hold it over the QR code for Ruth. After a few seconds, it'll automatically show that phone to everybody, to everyone. Now, what you have to do, it doesn't instantly connect. It works 2 ways. So, depending on how far apart you are as far as your connection, it will either give you the option to follow or to connect. You always want to connect, not follow, because when you connect, you interact. When you follow, you're just like a gnome or troll just following someone on LinkedIn. So on Carlissa's phone, we're going to go to the far option and then go to connect, and then it'll send Ruth a connection request. And then hopefully Ruth, at some point down the road, because it won't be instant, it'll take it a few seconds, it'll pop up and you'll see Carlissa's LinkedIn request, and hopefully you'll accept it, correct? All right, so that's for LinkedIn. We ain't done with QR codes. I'll get 2 more volunteers. How many people knew not constant contact, but Instagram has QR codes? I think I know you did. You didn't know that? Oh my gosh.
I'm actually shocked.
Carlissa, do you have an Instant?
No.
You don't
I
know?
have an account, but I don't.
You didn't know it used the QR code? Come on up. All right, you two need to come back up. You got it on your. It's easiest. You are so accessible. And I've got a cheat too.
Instagram app.
Yeah, that helps. So go into your Instagram app. And so once you get to the main screen of the Instagram app, hold on, Ruth, let me cheat. Oh, go to your picture, which is in the lower right-hand corner. The little circle icon in the lower right-hand corner. Okay. And then once you click on it, it'll take you to your main LinkedIn screen, which Ruth is already at. Now, at the very upper right, there's a menu with 3 lines. So click on that 3-line menu. Once you click on that menu, it'll bring up a menu which will have the word QR code. Click on QR code and it's the same thing. It'll bring up Carlissa's and Ruth's QR code. Now at the bottom of the screen, it shows you where you can scan a QR code. So click on it. Sorry, Carlissa. Let's do it again. So they've already met, so now they're connecting with Instance. So you need to follow, follow Ruth. And then Ruth, you'll get a request on your end saying that Carlissa's trying to connect with you, and then you accept. You gotta connect to the main screen. Where is it where your new connections are? There you go. So yeah, now you two are following each other. So there is a cool trick that you can walk around GEW this week and show off to your friends, and you don't even have to give credit to yours truly. So there you go.
But we will.
I hope so. I was just throwing it out there. Now when it comes to media attention, it's not necessarily just newspaper. It's all forms of media. I'm talking podcasts, I'm talking newspapers, I'm talking magazine, I'm talking TV, because a lot of people, when they assume media, they always think about television, which is great because out of all of those, that may have the largest connection. But the challenge is that as an entrepreneur, and I talked about this earlier, you definitely want to make sure that you stand out from the crowd. And being a media expert is probably one of the best ways you can make that happen. To tell another story that some people missed earlier, I connected, and this is the reason why I brought up the social media connections and the importance of connecting with people on social media. So I connected with Lauren Halifax, and everyone knows who Lauren Halifax is, right? From Fox 4 News. So I connected with Lauren Halifax on Fox 4 on LinkedIn, probably about 10 or 12 years ago. So a year into that connection, I finally got or I shouldn't say finally, I was hoping for it, but it happened. She said, hey, do you want to be on the Fox 4 Morning Show reading you some of your computer and tech tips? And you can guess how I reacted. I squealed with delight, literally squealed, but then I accepted to be on Fox 4. And so that started my television journey as far as sharing tech tips on Fox 4. Now, the funny thing about media, when it comes to all forms, people gravitate to their different forms of media outlets that they're attracted to. Seems like in the Kansas City area, Fox 4 seems to be the station of choice because people, in fact, it happened this morning, someone said, oh my gosh, I see you on Fox 4 all the time. And I said, you know what, I haven't been on Fox 4 since May of this year. And I haven't been on the morning show since last year. I've been on the weekend Fox 4 show, but through marketing on my effort, it makes it seem like I'm everywhere. In fact, my badge actually says I am, and I cross the A out and put everywhere, which that's the appearance you want as a business. You want your brand to grow so that you have that appearance that you are constantly popping up, which is important for you to attract all forms and to try to appear on all forms of media rather than just focusing on one brand of media versus the other. So I've been on every TV station in the Kansas City metro area. I've been on Fox 4, I've been on 41 Action News, I've been on Channel 9, which is, I will say, the hardest station to get on because they don't have what's considered a lifestyle show where they feature influencers or businesses. Can you guess what KNBC, ABC's morning show is? It's national. Come on, think hard.
Good Morning America.
You nailed it. It's Good Morning America. That's why they don't have a lifestyle show. So even though there's the Today Show, which is on, what is it, on 41, I think, they used to have a lifestyle show, but they don't anymore. But the goal is to be everywhere at once and to make sure that you're appearing on all forms of media. So, but before we do this, I love playing Myth or Fact to kind of break up the monotony of the presentation. So what I'm going to do is show an image, ask if it's myth or fact. So here we go. Myth or fact? According to Forbes, Scrooge McDuck is the richest fictional character. Is that a myth or is that a fact? It's a what? Fact? Anyone else care to say?
I say myth.
Myth? Ruth?
Oh wait, you mean in Disney? Because if we're talking Marvel.
No, we're talking about, no, just the character. Let's just say all of these fictional billionaire, millionaire characters live in our world. Fictional wise, Scrooge McDuck is the richest fictional character ever. Anyone else?
I say myth.
It's a fact. Scrooge McDuck is the richest fictional character out there. I think he's worth $146 billion.
Oh wow.
So yeah. So anyway, all right, so one of the first things you want to do as far as your media presence is concerned is to build your personal brand. And the best way to do that is on social media. How many of you are active on social media? And I don't mean just on one channel, I mean on them all. Everyone's like got their hand out. So I guess I can point out an example, except you suck at TikTok, let's say, right? We all know. So Sing and I know each other. We've known each other for a while. So we're on every form of social media out there. TikTok. You're on TikTok, right?
I am now.
Oh my gosh. So she is now, but I'm on TikTok. Well, I guess we're on everything.
I'm
Snap.
not on anything else though.
You're on Snap.
I am on Snap, but
Yeah.
it's just for. But I don't.
You're
do
on
anything
Snap.
on it,
Okay,
right?
quit
And then-
explaining yourself out of
Yeah,
this.
you're right.
So Sing's everywhere.
No.
I'm on Snap, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, obviously, and Twitter. How many social media networks are you, ladies and gents, on? All of them? None?
2,
All but Twitter.
All but Twitter. Ruth?
4, 2,
2? Why are you saying 3, Sing?
Because I'm on 3.
Whatever.
3,
5.
Oh, good. And both of you are like 2?
5.
Oh, 5, okay.
Yeah.
So the important thing is that you don't know where people in the media are looking for folks, and it varies depending on which brand of media. So you really have to improve your brand, and your brand, just in case you didn't realize, is what you do and how you help others, because helping is key when it comes to getting media appearances. It's about what content are you willing to share with your audience, and potentially if a blog, not a blogger, but yeah, a blogger, if a blogger, a podcast person reaches out to you, they want to know what type of content are you willing to share with their audience. Because a lot of people, when it comes to media, automatically think, I'm just gonna get on TV and show off about myself. And that ain't the case. You've got to build a brand that shows that you are a go-giver, that you're constantly helping people out, regardless whatever it is that you do. So if you're a chef and you're sharing yummy recipes, that is being a go-giver. If you're into personal fitness and you're showing fitness tips, that is building your brand and you're helping people and inspiring people. If you're a motivational whatever and you're sharing motivational quotes on social media, you are being a giver and helping people get value out of their lives. Because truth be told, no one really cares about your business. They don't. Yes, you won Business of the Year. People don't care. That's great, yeah, that's great, but what does that do for me? It's like the old Janet Jackson song. What have you done for me lately? And that's what people are looking for. And I'm not doing the dance, but you know, that's what it's all about. Yes.
Doesn't it give you credibility though, or do people really just not?
It gives some credibility that maybe you're an established business, but how are you helping people? One of the worst, and I hope that no one is part of this company, one of the worst plumbing companies in the Kansas City metro area is, and everyone's laughing, you already know, say it.
LBA.
No,
It used to
no.
be Bob's or whatever.
Bob Hamilton, yes. Bob Hamilton has a good business brand, but the value that they give to their customers, all you have to do is go to Google reviews and read them. They're horrible, horrible, 1 star. You know, they suck. I've used Bob Hamilton and I left a scathing review on their site. They're horrible, but they have a good brand. Everyone knows them.
They're everywhere.
That's good branding. They're
It's on
everywhere.
trucks.
That is good branding. Good branding. You can see them when you're cruising down 35 or whatever that is in Kansas. Yeah, there's 35. See their buildings, you can see them, but they have a horrible brand. People don't care about that. Hey, how did you help me out? I had my relatives clog up my toilet on Thanksgiving. Were you able to help me out without charging me an arm and a leg? That's the key. You have to worry about that. Did I go backwards on build your business brand?
Yes.
Yeah, I am going backwards. I did nothing. Set it down. So blogging is one of the best ways that you can build your brand. How many bloggers do we have?
I'm trying to get there.
No, I'm trying to get there and getting there.
I mean,
You're
still
thinking
working
about
on
it.
content.
So have you written a blog recently?
Yes.
Okay, all right. You're a blogger.
Okay.
All right, I thought you were like, well, I was thinking about making
Oh,
one.
no, I got like several.
Okay, well that's good.
It's not like-
Building a blog doesn't have to be long. It's just you basically you giving out useful information to anybody. And blogs have good SEO content, especially if you design it on your website. Or, did you know this? You can share your blog on LinkedIn. LinkedIn blogs have great SEO. LinkedIn itself has great search engine optimization. And LinkedIn will showcase your blogs every now and then to the whole LinkedIn network if they think your blog is awesome. Because they have real life people that look at them and say, hey, that's awesome. So my blog's been featured twice this year for having engaging content. And with blogs, you don't want to write a blog just for the simple fact of saying, hey, I'm writing a blog. You want to write one that you're giving information and you're not looking for anything in return. Because there are some blogs that make good money, but there's other blogs that, you're just putting it out there. But the whole idea is to just put out useful information that people can gain or, gather information from. And the good thing about blogs too, if you're smart about it, you can start turning your blogs into TV segments and into blog posts, into just different segments. If someone needs a subject on a particular topic, you can just go back to one of your blogs. So you're starting your inventory of content that you can share in the media. One of the things I do with our blog is that our blog is shared in the Lee Summit Journal. Yeah, it's the Lee Summit Journal. And one of the papers, or the only paper in Green Valley, Missouri. And there's 4 publications in the Orlando, Florida area that I get to have my blog in. I ran into one of the publishers and I just jokingly said, hey, do you have a tech expert to submit blogs? And she's like, yeah, we've been looking for one. I approached the guy. He said he was going to submit an article. He never wrote back. Can you imagine that opportunity? Because most places will charge you to put content, especially newspapers will put content in their papers. If you're sharing your blog posts with other publications, you're getting free media attention right there. All you have to do is submit the content. In fact, for Green Valley, every month they're like, Bert, you got any articles? And I submit them, but they're begging because most print publications are looking for content in order to get readers for their publications. So start writing a blog, it'll help you get media attention. Start doing videos. How many people do live videos or regular videos on social media? Doesn't matter the platform. You don't have to be Facebookers or not Facebook Live, but YouTube Live. Anyone? No one's doing videos. There's 2 people. Why is that? I'm chastising all of you. You gotta do video. Video is key. Video is king on social media, and it doesn't take much. You could do a quick reel, giving out a tip for something. Don't eat after 8 o'clock, or else you'll blow up.
That's a fact, yeah.
It is, see, that's a fact. And that's all you have to say. It's true. Quit eating after 8 o'clock. Do it at 8:01. Someone's eating. Or you think they're eating. They're scrolling, looking at your stuff. Are you eating? Stop it. Video's easy. Just introduce yourself. You don't necessarily have to do all those fancy dance moves and stuff like that you see on TikTok or Instagram Reels. It's just useful information. There's a lady that you probably should follow, Melinda Emerson. She's a small business lady. She does a biz tip for her Reels and her TikTok. I think she's up to 68, but it's just a quick business tip to help people get more value. And Melinda's everywhere, getting paid to be everywhere. I wish I was Melinda. I wish I quit hitting this clicker the wrong way. Speak! There's tons of Rotaries and different events that you can go speak at your local chamber. You've got valuable information, get out and speak and record it like I'm doing. And then share it on your YouTube channel, which is my next question. How many of you have your own YouTube channel? Ruth, you like Ruth, you kind of have one? Speaking's great. It makes you a valuable expert when you're in front of people. So get out and speak. Also, website. You have your own website, not for yourself, but does your business have its own www? That's important because it needs to be SEO optimized for search engines so that way people can find you. So number 2 is the most important thing. If you take anything away from this, you got to understand that you have to build relationships with the people that are looking for media experts. It's very important because they're sometimes, and most of the times, they're not going to call you just because you say that you're good. You've got to prove that you're good. True story. So I went to a speaking event in San Antonio, Texas this year, and as a joke, I pitched to Great Day San Antonio the day before I left. So I get off my American Airlines flight, I'm in the San Antonio airport, and I get an email that says, oh yeah, we'd love to have you be a guest on Great Day San Antonio. And I was like, hey, not only can I be a guest, I'm in town. If your station's open, I can show up. And they're like, great. And I went and I did the segment. So as I was leaving, I asked, I'm like, so you guys obviously checked me out before we had you on. And the producer was like, heck yes, we vetted you before we even invited you on as a guest. And the TV market for San Antonio is fairly small. But all of these television stations need to have credible guests on their show. So sometimes you can just pitch and be on, but at the same time you need to constantly be developing relationships with these producers. Because truth be told, most of the talent, and I mean the reporters, don't have any say-so when it comes to who gets on the show. It's the producers that are in control for anything. That means, and I'm not just talking TV, I'm talking podcasts, I'm talking any of it. It's the producer or the editor that has the final say-so as far as your content being shared in the media. So the best way to find these contacts for these shows and television, or not television, shows and these papers and these podcasts is to go to Uncle Google. Let's say you wanted to get on Good Morning America. You can type in producer for Good Morning America. Lo and behold, it'll start showing you emails, and well, not necessarily emails, because most producers don't want to be found. So they'll show you emails, how you can connect with them and start to build a relationship. So a lot of times it'll bring up their social media accounts. So you can connect with them, but I'm going to tell you, never pitch to a producer through their social media account. A lot of times that's for their enjoyment. If they want you to connect with you, for example, on Twitter, then they'll say, hey, if you got a story idea, reach out to me. But if they don't, you have to find their business email, which Google sometimes will help you find. And the way to do that is to go to whatever station they're working for. I will tell you the national networks are the hardest, because now producer names for national networks or national publications are sometimes the producer or editor's first name, middle initial, and last name. Sometimes there's dots in the middle. Sometimes it's like first initial, last name. It varies from publication to publication. So you really have to do your research and search for hours upon hours to find out who is the right contact for the media source that you want to get on. For TV, it's Twitter. Everyone who is a producer or a media expert is on Twitter. So if you wanted to look up Lauren Halifax, she may not tweet a lot, but she's on Twitter. Same thing with Lindsay Shively. Lindsay Shively is probably one of the more active social media users as far as media. Most of them are forced to use it. You can connect with Lindsay, but do you think that's going to get you on KSHP's morning show? No, because Lindsay's the talent. She's not the producer of the show. But you can use the talent's emails to find out what the actual email may be for the producer once you use Google on finding that information. Another good source is LinkedIn. If you're looking for podcasts, if you're looking for any publication or even TV, get on LinkedIn and use it as a search engine and find these people. Again, if you connect with them on LinkedIn, that doesn't necessarily mean that you want to reach out to them with LinkedIn, but at least you want to establish the relationship so that, especially on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn, out of all of the social media networks, allows a two-way connection, and the algorithm is a lot looser than other social media platforms. So this means that producers or editors or podcast directors will find your content because you're connected and you're developing that relationship. One of the other important things that you want to do as well is to tag people when it comes, or tag like the media expert that you want to reach out to, so that they know that you're watching their content. They don't post often, but if it's some feel-good thing, tag them and let them know that you're following them on social media. That is one of the best ways to develop the relationship and get exposed or get yourself on national or local media. Yes.
I have a question about LinkedIn. So I have both a personal LinkedIn and a business LinkedIn. Which one do you think I should be more active on? So I'm thinking if I do the business side, how will they find my personal? Or
See, the challenge is that in social media, I've been one of those people that never believes in personal versus business. All business relationships have to be interpersonal. Maybe you're not showing off that you got drunk the night before or that you got thrown into jail cell at Arrowhead because you partied too much at the game, which they really do have, and I don't know from experience, but you can't get thrown in jail at Arrowhead. I'm just letting you know. But you want it to be a personal relationship, whether it be your business account or your personal account, because you're building relationships. That's the whole purpose. So you don't want to market at all on social media. You want to develop relationships and cultivate relationships on social media. And that should be your focus. So, I don't know what kind of stuff are you putting on your business account?
so I do social media management and I develop online websites. So I have them separated just more specific for like Instagram, personal Instagram and business Instagram. But on LinkedIn, since it's a different platform, I was trying to see if instead of having it separated, I have it on Instagram, it's better to just have it all one.
So are you rocking it on any other social media networks other than LinkedIn? So what's your favorite? What's your go-to?
Instagram, just because of like reels, and I just kind of repurpose my reels. So basically, whatever I'm posting on Instagram, you can repurpose for TikTok or Facebook too. I think
Have you repurposed them for LinkedIn? Your reels?
I haven't. LinkedIn is the only platform that I'm like.
You need to
It's so
treat
different.
LinkedIn.
It's so professional.
No, it's not. It's personal. And if you look and start to connect with more people on LinkedIn, it definitely has a more personal feel. Maybe 5 years ago it was more like, I'm looking for a job, I want to get on LinkedIn. But because more people have migrated from, say, Facebook, and LinkedIn is kind of like Facebook was 5 years ago, you want to share those reels on LinkedIn because it helps you stand out from the crowd. You don't want those old boring business posts. No one really wants those anymore. I mean, there's, in whatever business we're in, there's at least 50 other people that do what we do. What's going to make my business stand out from the other businesses? So those reels on LinkedIn would help you get more attention because maybe there's someone in media that you want to reach that may be a little bit active on Facebook, but they're more active on LinkedIn. So when you posting those reels, it's going to help you get more engagement. So I would definitely make it fun, make it stand out. I don't know why I threw that slide in there, but let's just assume that it says that you want a one-on-one. I have a great relationship with all of the producers that I reach out to. And a lot of the shows, let's go back to TV, and actually some podcasts. A lot of them pay to play. That means, for example, I'll use one of the Kansas City shows that used to be around. So KC Live used to be around. $1,500 for a 3-minute segment. That's how much it would cost you to get on TV. A lot of podcasts are the same way. You want to be a guest on a podcast? Then you're going to have to pay to be a guest on a podcast. But once you develop that relationship with the producer, you'll understand that on certain podcasts, certain TV shows, even certain publications, they need content all the flipping time. So they're going to reach out to someone that they trust and that is a value add expert to have you on. I've never paid to be on anything at all. Never. And I refuse to. One of the local stations reached out and said, had the marketing department reach out to me, and I had been a guest on the show previously. And I hate to admit it, but I did the, do you know who I am? Email to them. I was mad. I'm like, how dare you? But then I had to realize that it was a new producer starting a relationship over. So then I had to apologize and make it happen. One of the worst mistakes I made as far as media is concerned, I don't know what I was smoking that day. That morning, I must have been some good crack or some good hash. But I actually went up to one of the producers and asked her, was she pregnant? She wasn't. About killed that relationship. Killed it. And it's the look of horror on her face told me by the time I got the word pregnant, out that she wasn't pregnant, and I was about to cost myself ever being on the show again. So I immediately sent flowers and an apology letter about my stupidity, and after a couple of months of being in detention, I got back on the show. So, but yeah, you want to cultivate those strong relationships. So to a myth or fact. So myth or fact, this has to do with Thanksgiving. So myth or fact, Abraham Lincoln was the first president to pardon a turkey. Is that a myth or a fact? Everyone knows what the pardon a turkey is around Thanksgiving, right? President pardons a turkey, they don't get chopped. No? Myth. Okay, anyone else? Everyone's stumped. It's a fact. Abraham was the first president to pardon a turkey. Then he died, unfortunately, and then it kind of went by the wayside. Did you know how we believe in like certain, what do you call that? Superstitions? Maybe that was the case. You know, people thinking, well, if I pardon a turkey, maybe I'll get assassinated. So it wasn't up until the Bushes, I think it was George Herbert Walker Bush, started the tradition again of pardoning the turkey. So now it continues. And no one's been assassinated. So story angles are good, right? You gotta find a good way to get on. So as I said, producers are always looking for content, always. So what story angle are you gonna use? A lot of you don't know this, but years ago, I was like in business language, like how am I gonna go to the next level? And I had a friend or colleague send me an article about a cash mob that was going on in some state. And I'm like, I saw it, I'm like, that's it. That's how I'm gonna get on media. Because before then, I had only been on, like in the local newspaper, some smaller newspapers. And I'm like, I would love some, I want to be on TV, I want some media attention. So I saw this cash mob. It was picked up by Google Alert. So this movement going across the country during like 2008, 2009. Businesses were suffering. So someone came up with the idea, let's gather a bunch of people with cash only, go and pay a small business, buy items using cash only so that they don't have to use their credit card processing fees, and we'll pick a day and the business will know, and then we'll go help them out. So it's like, we gotta do it. And I had several retail customers that were like, heck yeah, we'll do it. You know, what do we have to lose? And it was at 50th and State Line, which currently has Hi-Hat Coffee, George Brett's wife's flower shop, and Fufu Boutique Shop. There's Anador's Chocolates, and then that's it. But there were several more shops before. So they were all on board. So I approached the Star, because at the time I had no idea how to contact any of the television stations. And I don't know if you knew this or not, most of the TV stations in town get their source from the Star. No one knew that, right? Or Associated, or AP, Associated Press. So I approached the business person at the Star, and she's like, oh, that's great, let me write a story up. Next thing I know, I'm on the front page of the Star with my other co-conspirators. And I mean, I didn't plan for that. And of course, once that happened with the date, because they did it the date of, every television station in the Kansas City metro area descended on 50th and State Line. I mean, right? I mean, that's awesome. It's all from an idea of not necessarily me promoting myself as an entrepreneur, but me promoting a movement that needed to happen in the area to help these small mom and pop businesses. Everyone, I didn't even know what to say on TV. And it was so bad, it was like an all-day media blitz. Except one of the things I learned about media is that there's other news that can trump you. For example, the cheese truck dumped over the day that I was in, the day of the cash mob, early in the morning. They want to be at Anador's Chocolates at 6 a.m. So I'm there, ready to go. And then they're like, hey, a cheese truck dumped over on 435. That takes precedence to you. So, yeah, I'm like, okay, but they're like, well, we'll come down around 7. So they did, and it worked out. But anyway, that's one of the things that started my media journey. It wasn't about Enroll. It was more about me helping someone else. So if you're thinking of story ideas or attaching to what's going currently in the news that affects your business and your brand, then you want to approach those contacts that you've made for blogs and for podcasts and for the news in order to be known or be on as a personality. The thing I have to watch out for in the news, especially when it comes to national news, which I forgot to mention, I've been on CBS, I've been on News Nation Now. When the Black News Channel was around, I was on the Black News Channel. Bonus, I'm international because I've been on TV in London too. And on radio in London as well. So I've been all over, and it's that slowly building up those contacts, being shown as a resource on social media, and having people reach out to me that want to be me to be their expert for their show. That was the wrong step. I suck at this. But it all has to be about you caring about other people, not about I want to get on and promote my business. Everyone wants to get on and talk about their business. It's not about that. It's about how are you helping others. You've got to have a caring heart when it comes to wanting to be the expert on a TV show or whatever. Holidays are important. If you're looking for different ways to get on, craft a tech tip for the holidays. For example, holiday shopping's coming up. My pitch goes out to my networks in about an hour. What do you think I pitched to all the news stations and to the newspapers that is relevant around this time of year that they are wanting content on? Anyone guess? I'm in technology. What was that, Ruth? That's okay. But it's a good one, yes.
Detecting my online purchases.
That's a good one.
Identity.
Bingo. Yeah, I saw it. Thanks, Zane, for telling me the time. I appreciate you. Yeah, I did. Thank you. I'm messing with you. So yes, Cyber Monday's coming up. Cyber Monday tips. I would pitch that. Or Black Friday, how to stay safe when you're shopping. I take it a step further. Small Business Saturday's coming up. Most small businesses don't have the resources to protect themselves from cyber criminals. I mean, you've got to be able, you're making the public aware of this in ways that they can make sure that they're not getting scammed. That's what you focus on. Your name again, ma'am? Who's in the websites and social media? Yes. Savannah. How to detect bogus websites during the holidays when people are shopping. I mean, I know you're a website designer in social media, but sometimes you have to step a little out of your box in order to be that media expert. Write a blog post about it because I don't think anyone's wrote about it. I mean, they've written in like, okay, don't go to websites that don't have the HTTPS on there. But there's more things that you can identify to let you know that it's a bogus website other than, say, misspelling. You can approach any media outlet like that. Ruth, what do you do?
I tech concern. So we do.
Come on, more.
Essentially, it's part of this one small one.
There you go. So you can talk about how people can avoid shopping cart fraud when they're going to websites. So, I mean, do you kind of see where I'm going with this? As far as how you approach the news, it's always about how you're helping people out, and you want to keep it seasonal. And sometimes people have a problem with this, which is why there's this great website called National Day Calendar. I dare you to look up on your smart devices now to tell me what there's National Day Calendar,
National
there's
Pickle Day today.
It is not National Pickle Day.
Yeah, it is.
Really?
Yeah, it is.
I like how you said that. Like, yeah. What are you talking about?
She's like, oh,
Yeah. No one's ever come that quickly and said, hey, today is, unless I'm spoken on a national holiday. I was like,
I did. That's why it caught my eye.
so wait a minute, but there's more. What other national holidays are today?
There are so many.
I know there's so many, and that's the point. If you're looking for content to get onto the news with, look for holidays that go with your brand. National Day of Unplugging is an actual day. Great Day KC reached out to me because of that. I'm like, well, yeah, I'm talking about National Day of Unplugging. There's other holidays that they look for that they want to promote. So any holiday that aligns with your business brand, go for it and try to pitch something that's going to help people out. Obviously, weight loss, I mean, anytime's good. I don't know if there's a national weight loss day.
It's actually National or World Diabetes Day today too.
Really? See? So it's a good day that you can either promote it just to your social media network or any media you can pitch to it and say, hey, here's some tips for diabetics in order to help them get better, right? But with the holidays with weight loss, everyone wants to lose weight, but you want to put a spin because the whole thing about you losing weight after the holidays is like cliche. Everyone's going to be doing that. How do I lose weight during the holidays? How do I stay healthy during the holidays? Those are the things that stations, that newspapers, that blog posts, that podcasts want. So that's how you pitch it. You kind of put a spin. Another thing that I didn't talk about is newsjacking. Newsjacking means that you take something that's going on currently and you put a spin on it to provide tips that are going to help people get through it. So whenever there's a cyber security break, Channel 9, it seems like the most, always reaches out to me and says, hey, can you talk on so-and-so getting breached? But anything that has to go in the news, I don't know, what's going on today? Anything? Other than National Pickle Day?
National Seatbelt Day.
What about Newswise? Is there anything going on?
Aren't we still trying to?
You're still talking about the election.
Ah, yeah.
There's
How to get over the election blues during the holidays. I mean, or how to talk with your family about politics during the holidays. I'm just throwing an example of that. Don't go. But anyway, you want to news check and you want to get on sources. So same thing with breaking news. If you see it and you've got a good relationship about or with a producer or whoever that's trending, reach out and say, hey, I can speak upon this. They're going to vet you, or if you ever have a relationship, they'll contact you and you'll get on. That's simple. So there's other resources that you can go to become an expert. One of the first websites is Haro or Haro, help a reporter out. As I said, a lot of different publications are constantly looking for experts. You all are experts, all of you. You know something that other people don't, or you're brave enough to share that information with other people. So Haro or Help a Reporter Out is an excellent website that you can sign up for free. The reason I signed up is for the reason Ruth brought up earlier. I signed up for Haro as a media expert because I wanted free goodies to show off on some of the lifestyle shows that I appear on. And you will see people saying, hey, if you've got product that we can showcase in our holiday catalog, contact us. Or if you're an expert in this, in every industry, Haro will break down and you can pitch articles to people in order to get the media exposure that you want. And Haro is completely free. Another resource is SourceBottle, which is kind of wonky because it's out of Australia, but it's a site that you want to connect with that's free that will help you get free media exposure. I'm talking international media exposure. They don't care. I had someone from Reader's Digest reach out to me. Say, hey, can you talk about whatever? And I was like, sure. Next thing, I had a relative Google me, and then it showed up in Reader's Digest New Zealand. So, I mean, you never know where it's going to go with Haro or SourceBottle, or even Quoted. Now, Quoted is free, but the bad thing about Quoted is that it makes you wait 2 hours if you don't pay for their service. So someone throws out a media pitch, and they're like, oh, yeah, sorry, you're not paying us money. So we're going to make you wait 2 hours so that other people can pitch. But a lot of times, you don't get the subject experts, or maybe someone pitches something really crappy, and then even after 2 hours with Quoted, you can still come in and pitch to these media sources. And for all three, we're talking different media sources, not just TV, but newspaper, magazines, bloggers, podcasts, every media source out there, because everyone needs help with media. So I would sign up for those sources today and get started. So as far as your media pitch is concerned, you've got to make it quick, like you're the expert. Essentially, for a lot of instances, whether it be blog posts, TV, articles, you're the one writing the content. It ain't the producer, it ain't the reporter. So you got to craft it. You can't say, hey, I think I could be a good subject expert matter on weight loss or technology. You need to share your great story and, more importantly, spell out what you're going to say. Most of the time when I'm on TV, I am the one that put together the segment. Same thing with like the newspapers. It's my blog post, maybe tweaked a little, that it's on air. So you've got to make it concise, not some general whatever. Because I mean, yes, you want to be a subject matter on everything that's related to your industry and your brand, but you've got to pick a particular piece to speak on and pitch. Now the challenge with that is you don't want to be a pest. You don't want to be the cockroach on the table. So only pitch maybe once a month to your sources. Don't pitch all the time. And finally, you're going to get your heart broken because sometimes what you're pitching for the day isn't going to be what the producer or the podcaster or the blogger is looking for. So don't give up. I know a lot of people that will pitch to a media source and be like, well, darn it, they didn't select me. Well, it's estimated, and this is just out of St. Joe, Missouri. There was a reporter I worked with, Jody O'Brien, who was one of the few rare people that put together her news segment. She told me she got pitched at least 50 times a day, and that's just out of St. Joe, Missouri. Can you imagine what producers from other stations are getting pitched? It's a lot. So sometimes they'll miss your email. Sometimes it may look good, but it may not fill their format. Sometimes you'll pitch to them, but it's pay to play. You've got to develop that relationship. There's a station in St. Louis, Great Day, St. Louis. Samantha Bartley, I think it's her name, is the producer. I shouldn't be sharing that. But you dare reach out to Samantha. You won't get on because it's a pay to play show. And she was honest and said, hey, Burton, our show's pay to play, but if we ever have any room for free content, we'll have you on. So sure enough, at some points throughout the years, I'm on Great Day St. Louis for free. And it works out great. So don't get discouraged because you weren't selected because you thought your idea was heartbroken. Now let's say that the media does call. Are you ready? Like if someone emailed you and say, we want you on KCTV5 tonight to talk about whatever. Are you ready? No one's saying yes.
Yes.
Sane finally said yes. You have to be ready. News, media, not necessarily podcasts, but even newspapers have deadlines. You've got to be ready when they call. Mistake. One of my office managers who I let go years ago called and said, or Channel 5 called and said, hey, we want to have Burton come on and talk as an expert. You know what she did? Actually opened the calendar and said, yeah, he's not available until next week. And found, yeah, that was the look I had on my face too. When the news calls, what should your only answer be?
Yes.
Yes, I can do it. Figure it out later. They normally will send you the article that they want you to talk about, or they'll give you details about the article that they want. But the answer is always yes. You want to be a podcast guest? Yes, I can be a guest on your podcast. Answer's always yes, unless you're about to connect on an international flight to go to Addis Ababa, Saudi Arabia. You always want to say yes. Always. True story. I was actually not going international. I was actually boarding a flight to go somewhere. Shannon O'Brien, when she worked at Fox 4, said, Burton, I need you for a story. I'm like, Shannon, airport traffic is horrible. She's like, I'll come where you are. I'm like, I'm at the airport, traffic's horrible. She's like, I'll come to you. I mean, it's that serious. And I was sitting in traffic for like an hour and a half before my flight left. I was sitting in traffic for a little bit. And Fox 4 is not that far from the airport. She's willing to drive up to the airport to interview me. That's how desperate a lot of these people are. So when you're saying yes, you're cultivating the relationship. You're showing that you're available. When the Black News Channel was around all the time, it seems like every day, Burton, we need you. Yes, I'd be at customers' homes. Hey, I need about 30 minutes. Do you mind? I know we're supposed to be working on your computer, but yeah, I need about 30 minutes and you need to close the blinds. I need good internet. I've done, I don't know how many interviews at different customers' houses, but I have that reputation of always being on TV. So it's no big deal. They're like, yeah, what can I get? You want some water before you go on air? I mean, so yes is the answer. You always. Because time is of the essence, I know I say that. But one of the most other things, let's say you make it on, it's great. They're gonna send you your article, they're gonna send you the podcast that you were on. They were gonna send you the news clip, which they do. Share it. Liberate it and put it on your YouTube channel. Share it with your folks. Don't do watch me because I'm gonna be on. Because you always have the opportunity of being canceled. So you want hey, I was on, and true story, I'm embarrassed to say this. Sometimes I will prop my iPhone up, like out of sight of the camera when I'm on air, and I will snap photos of me actually during the interview. One of my first interviews with Newsmax, don't judge me, I was on Newsmax, it was the first national station I was on. You can actually see my eyes darting down, because I want to make sure I was getting the proper shots. The worst, I think, when I was on CBS for the second time. You could actually see me move my iPhone out on a surface so that I could continue the interview. But I wanted that right moment where it said Bert Kelso, the CBS logo, and what I was talking about, because I was going to share it on social media later. Same thing if you're on a podcast. I don't care how small the podcast is, you want to share it on social media to show that you were an expert on whoever's podcast. It helps the media source when you tag them, the reporter, not necessarily the producer, but when you tag the media source, you're letting them know that you're not being selfish, but you're caring about them and you want more people to tune into their station. So share it and be sure to tag them whenever it's appropriate. Oh, and finally, keep pitching. Because they'll always say, hey, we want to have you back on the show. That doesn't mean they're calling you back. That means the door is open for you to start pitching more opportunity. Just pitch all the time. Like I said, no more than once a month, but you've constantly got to pitch. Because there are people that I have helped, which I will never do again, help get on television. And I've said, hey, once you get your foot in the door, you've got to constantly feed content to this media source. And what happens? They drop off. They're like, I was on. They drop off. And then when they need to be in media, then they're contacting me saying, hey, Burton, who's the latest contact at such and such? My best Scooby-Doo. Oh, I don't. I do, but I'm not sharing it with you because I already told you. This is what you need to do. You've got to constantly stay in contact with the producers, with the reporters, to let them know that you're still sending out valuable content, that you're sharing it on social media. Because sometimes in media, it's very volatile. Producers will leave, reporters will leave, bloggers will go to different sources. I got on CBS only because the producer that I worked with out of News Nation Now moved to CBS. Usually when you connect with television producers or any other producers, they upgrade. Or sometimes they'll go to markets you wanted to get in, but you couldn't. Tashani, I forget Tashani's last name, was a reporter on the Black News Channel. She's on Good Day New York now. Isn't supposed to share her producer contact, but knew, because if you share it, you don't name drop and say, hey, I know Tashani. Her and I did many stories on the Black News Channel. You have to do it on your own merit. So if someone gives you a producer contact, don't name drop. Just use your own merit to get to where you are. I wound up on the Atlanta Business News Channel because I just reached out and I was on. Trying to think, like I said, Reader's Digest, there's multiple publications I've been in, Martha Stewart Living. The list is nameless. And it wasn't from name dropping. It's all about developing and cultivating those relationships because you have to do it on your own. You cannot rely on anyone else. And I'll tell you, anyone who's been in media, they ain't sharing producer contacts with you. They never will. Never will share that contact. And because you never know what that person's going to do with that information. If you do it, you could ruin your own reputation of being on TV or being in a newspaper or being on someone's podcast. Because that person may reach out like they just smoked a bunch of hash and then they're just saying nonsense when they're talking to the contact for that show. And if you can, and I almost said this, but in certain situations, if you can help producers for content, you want to do it. There is a lady I know who does a real estate podcast. I'm good with the lady who runs the podcast, which is Lee Brown. Lee Brown doesn't pick the guest for her show. It's her personal assistant, Michelle, who does it. So I ran into, because I didn't want to give out the contacts, a couple of real estate agents that I know that could have been good guests on Lee's show. So I reached out to Michelle and said, hey, I know some rock star real estate agents that would be a great guest for Lee's show. And Michelle's like, great, because Lee's podcast is being approached by other podcasters who aren't real estate related. So I appreciate, whatever you're able to feed me. And a lot of these real estate agents wound up on the show. But it's that relationship, that you have to build with the main contact in order to help you get good media exposure. Last myth or fact, folks. I love this one. Not necessarily myth or fact, but cornbread dressing or stuffing, whatever you want to say, is better than white bread dressing or stuffing. Is that a myth or is that a fact?
Can you repeat the question?
I think it's a fact.
Do what?
I think it's a yes.
I'll repeat it again. And I'm just going to use the word stuffing. I don't use dressing. So cornbread stuffing is better than white bread stuffing. Is that a myth or is that a fact?
Fact.
I'm going to go with fact. It's definitely better. Cornbread is better. Am I lying?
No.
I had dressing, I never had stuffing.
Okay, it's dress. Okay, dressing. Cornbread dressing. Yes, see? Fact. Anyway, so to wrap things up, when you want free media attention, you have to cultivate yourself into a go-giver. I know a lot of people are afraid of giving the shop when it comes to their business. Like, I don't want to share that valuable information. I have people that pay me for that. But what you want is exposure. So you have to turn yourself into a go-giver and give out those valuable knickknacks or tidbits that people want to understand that pertains to your industry. Make sure that you're always developing relationships with producers and stay in contact with them for any outlet. Doesn't matter if it's TV, doesn't matter if it's podcast. Stay in contact with them and just check up and see how they're doing without necessarily pitching. But in the end, I mean, all of you have the ability to get whatever media exposure you want. It's just, are you willing to put in the work and to develop yourself and to be everywhere on social media so that you can make those relationships happen? So, this person also, and I went, oh, I'm gonna leave you with this before I go with that. So I didn't memorize the quote, but anyway, it all pertains to small steps. So to give you my journey about being on TV, on national TV, it took about 8 years. And I want to put that in perspective. 8 years is a long flipping time. As far as local content, I had been in business already for maybe 15 years before I got decent media exposure on Fox 4. So it's all small steps, and then you have to be consistent with it. You can't just throw something out and expect that you're going to be on. There's a ton of people trying to do what you're doing, which is to get free media exposure. So make sure that you're making those small steps to make that happen and stay consistent. So now to the final slide. So hopefully we're going to be good friends. We've already, hopefully you connected with my QR codes, but if not, we can connect on social media. I love technology, I read the manuals, and I'm serious about making technology fun and safe for everyone. So any questions or comments or anything?
I have questions.
Oh, I know you do. Hey, Sing, you can stop recording. So Ruth, what are your questions?